Estate Network 2023. We are here representing Black folk, representing wealth, representing real estate in America, KW Black Real Estate Network.
Hey, welcome to the Color Money Podcast. We're here this evening to enlighten you on some things that are happening inside of our world, inside of the Black world, as far as financial, give you some exposures to some different ideas. And we're going to go through some great information just about us and Black wealth. And leading us into this conversation is going to be none other than my twin brother, Bo Menkiti.
So I told Emerick, I think this room knows the difference between us. But when we started in Keller Williams, every time Emerick would win an award, people would come and congratulate me in the hallways. And so I got a lot of Emerick shine when we were the first two. So I guess for me, I wanted to kind of take this back all the way to the genesis, I think, of the Color Money Podcast. When we came out of the Social Equity Task Force and just to take it all the way back, I remember, a couple of days after George Floyd, I got a call from Gary Keller at 11:30 at night. And it was an interesting time. This is when everyone's trying to figure out how to respond, what to do, right? And I really appreciated Gary's take. He said, I'm calling you, and I'm not calling you to ask you what to do, I'm calling you to tell you what I'm gonna do, because I feel I need to do something. And this is where the Social Equity Task Force came from, and the work that was there. Then we got to this point where we've been doing this task force, we've been dealing with reactionary stuff, and Julia introduced us to The Color of Law, and the book The Color of Law was out there, and then we had The Color of Real Estate, the class on real estate, and it always was ringing in the back of my head, this quote from Oliver Holmes. It said basically, economic development is the social justice issue of our day. That fundamentally, we can talk about equity, but economics is real equity. That economics is real equity. And when we think about, the wealth gap in our country, where the median income of a white household is, 7.8 times that of a Black household, 5.5 times that of a Hispanic household. We have real gaps in wealth. And we were talking all this talk about equity, but we weren't actually, operationalizing it or thinking about how it worked. And I was passionate about wealth building, having nothing to do with race. I was passionate about wealth building. I've been teaching wealth building in the company for about a decade plus before this all happened. And there was this idea of if we could take this passion for wealth and for money and build off of the community that Emerick and Alan and others had built to pull people together, that there could be something powerful in that. And so if we could start a conversation about economics, right? If we could start a conversation about economics, we can do two things. We can start to raise ourselves, it's the bold law, we rise to the level of the conversations around us, right? But if we start the conversation, we start to shift the mindset. And I think we also know that we also start to change the story. When people start to see people that they relate to for whatever reason, doing things and hearing from people about things that they can implement in their lives, it starts to change the narrative. And so, Daniel and I were just talking about this idea of narrative change, that when we start to change our story, we change the programming through which we see ourselves, which also changes our outcomes. And I think, Emerick, you did that with the leadership, where you said, hey, let's look at leadership in this company and let's have people start thinking. And since I think that time, I don't know how it was, four years ago, something like that, 5 years ago?
Actually, this is the 7th year.
Okay, but look at all the new OPs. I
Yeah.
see a bunch of people in here that have taken on leadership positions in the company and really stepped forward. And so this idea of what's possible. So I think the idea of the Color of Money was to have a platform that could bring people together, bring all people together to have a conversation about money, and to open our eyes and to open our dialogues with each other, but also to be tactical so that it's not a conversation and this ethereal conversation about equity and how people feel. There's operational tools and tactics and representation that start to shift what we believe is possible.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that the journey that we're on and what we're trying to achieve with this is really to get you guys to get our community to understand there's other conversations being had that changes mindsets, that changes businesses, that changes generational wealth and so on. We don't know what we don't know, and so we want to start having more conversations and sharing the knowledge and sharing the intelligence so we can legit change our lives and change our families. But this is, to Bo's point, this is not, at least me personally, I think the rest of us, we're not interested in just talking about it. We need movement. We need y'all to take steps. We need you to understand what's happening, start touching the things, doing some of the things, taking your lumps, having your failures. Gary always says, fail forward. Don't get ready to get ready. Get the information, get the knowledge, put it in play, start learning, and then continue to build this thing over time.
But you know, Daniel, I think it starts with, like you mentioned, Bo, being able to see it. You said that you all have been doing this for 7-8 years. It was 2015. Y'all said it was 2015. It was 2015 when somebody said 14. But whatever year it was, I remember I was an MCA and I was at family reunion. Did y'all know I was an MCA? I was an MCA for 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I was an MCA and I went to event because Emerick I had seen this guy in the hall and he slipped me one of these flyers like this. He was like, y'all remember, anybody ever get one of those from Emerick? Are you in the hall? Yes. You in the hall and he slips you this little thing. It's a black folks are meeting, right? So he slipped me one of the black folks are meeting things and I went to this event and Emerick and Bo were teaching on the 4, I don't know what the whole session was, but I specifically remember Bo teaching the 4 quadrants, right? And I had never seen anything like that before. They haven't introduced themselves yet, but when Bo tells you who he is, Bo has how many market centers? Bo, what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
We have something called Keller Williams Capital Properties. It has about five market centers in the DMV. And then we've had great opportunity to be part of Keller. Keller Williams has been a journey, right? It's been a journey for me. And so I think this idea of, if you want me to go down a rabbit hole for a second.
No, don't, wait.
You want me to
Let me finish my story.
Oh, finish the story.
Yeah, let me finish my story.
Finish the story.
And Emerick also was talking about his market center, because what do you do?
Big old
We
center.
we have one of the largest market centers in the system. We have 603 agents and one office under one roof.
Yeah.
And 90, let's be clear, 90, I used to say 98%, that's a lie, it's like 99% black. Just so y'all know, it's interesting.
So I'm watching these two guys up here teaching about leadership and about wealth, and I had never seen anything like that before. Not just within Keller Williams, I had never seen anything like that before at all, right? And so it was very impactful for me on what the possibilities were. Emerick has his little, both of these guys have their little sayings. They like, what do you call sound bites? They have sound bites. But Emerick always says, well, you have to see it to believe it, or something like that. But it was very instrumental in transition of my mindset. By seeing them, I remember exactly, that's why I knew I was at the Peacock, because I went back to my hotel room, we were in Orlando, and I called people and was like, you'll never believe what these guys are doing. I just had never seen anything like that. And being able to see it is part of what was very impactful and instrumental for me in everything that I've done. So part of this all is that. We're going to, in a little bit, introduce you to some of the other people who actually participate in this podcast that you wouldn't even believe the people you're sitting amongst right now, and the things that people do, and just expanding your mindset to comprehend not necessarily what we just see on the news or what we see on TV, well, who we really are and the power we really have individually and collectively. So for me, that's what it is.
You know, Julie, I think there's this really powerful thing of like, what headlines do you read? Like I did this for some of my friends. We're launching this fund to support Black real estate developers, and we put up a slide. And it was all the headlines you hear in the news. You know, there's a wealth gap. People are incarcerated at this. This is all the issues, right? We are inundated with all these issues and these negative images. And I said, but that's not the world I live in. The world I live in is I get to hang with people like Emerick. And my introduction to real estate was I incubated when I first joined Keller Williams out of Emerick's office. And I got to see people achieving at a high level. And so the world I walk in, this is what people are doing. Mm-hmm. And that inspires me to be able to do different things.
But you know, Bo, it's a little different because our perspective of the world is totally different than most of the people in this audience. Because they don't have a Bo. They don't have an Emerick. They don't. It's not. I'm in the 100 Black Men, and we have a motto for the kids: what they see is what they'll be. So, and in that idea, you know, you incubating out of our market center, you saw something different there. And by the same token, when you bought your building, I saw something different. I was like, wait a minute, this dude done went and bought the building that his office in. I was like, I'm getting ready to figure this thing out. A year and a half later, what happened? We bought our building. And so he was like, and that's what this is about. This is about us taking a look at each other and saying, listen, that dude is doing it. I got to find a way to do it. And it's not anything of envy. It's admiration to a place where you say, that's where I want to go.
And inspiration, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's what it's all about. It's looking at that and be like, wow, that really inspires me. I'm gonna do every day. Every time they talk, I'm like, I'm gonna do that. I was talking before y'all got here. Daniel says words I don't really know what they mean, but I'm like, okay. He said to call the people. I just do the activity. I'm like, he said to call the people. It's supposed to cost this much. Do this. Boom. Use this spreadsheet. Bam. And I don't really know what I'm doing, but it's inspirational what they do, and I follow what they do. Yeah.
Well, I think that's important. You don't know you don't know it yet. The second time you do it, you'll get better. The third time you do it, you'll be an expert, and then you're gonna go past.
Yeah, because I ain't gonna lie. The first time, if it goes wrong, it's all your fault.
No, I didn't. But when I did the first one too, my coach talked to me about it 3 or 4 times, and I didn't really understand it until I started touching it, and then seeing it, and then asking questions like, "Why? How does that do? Oh, that comes off of all my taxable income? Oh shit!" And then I can still use all of that to qualify for a house. Like, oh my God, this is crazy. And now then you can start strategizing once you understand the concepts and how the things work. But you're not going to be able to YouTube or listen to a podcast and become an expert. You got to jump in and do.
So I know we just jumped in because but there were some things we wanted to do before we jumped in.
Yeah. Well, can we do some housekeeping?
That's what I would like.
Let me do some housekeeping. Yeah. Here's some housekeeping. You know, we have a great group of leaders in Keller Williams, and we get accolades from all over the place. And so Mercedes Airhearn was honored at NARAB as being one of the top 100 individual black real estate agents in the country. And she wasn't there to get her award. Julia, let me tell you what happened. Julia picked it up for her, and we're gonna present it to her right now in front of us. Congratulations. So that's us looking out for us.
Mercedes don't know I almost had to fight them girls for that.
I was like, Julia, I can't make you try to find it. I didn't know. She surprised me. Thank you.
All right, Bo, back to it.
Oh, back to it. Where'd you want to go? You want to go to the stories. Well, I think that one of the things when I think about what the Keller Williams journey's been for me, it's been a journey of seeing things, like Daniel said, seeing things, trying things, sometimes screwing them up pretty bad, and then figuring out something else. And along that journey, you learn, you grow, you build relationships that help you move forward. And so, you know, I think that sometimes when you've been around for a little while, you know, people think you always were where you were, right? And so I always try and go back, you know. I was thinking about the other day, 19 years ago, right? So I was a part-time agent. I'd sold 6 houses. And I lived in an apartment with my buddy, who's now actually the CEO of part of our company. And I had one property. I bought this property and I couldn't pay the mortgage living it with my friends. So I moved out and I rented the property. I was living with my buddy and rented out my one property. And so you fast forward through a journey of getting a real estate license, right? Was just a part-time agent, became a full-time agent, became Rookie of the Year, randomly found out about Keller Williams from somebody in a bar in Chicago, you know, opened the first Keller Williams in DC, happened to have the example of, oh yeah, there's this guy Emerick, you can go hang your license with him. Saw what they were doing, saw the potential of the market center as really a foundation for building a business. And I always think that's how I think of real estate sales. Like, it's a foundation for building a business. Because any sort of wealth building sort of thing starts with like having something, right? You gotta have some income, you gotta have some platform, and that created a platform. And so, you know, you fast forward, you know, the 6 houses, you know, became, if you look at all the regions and everything we had the opportunity to be involved in last year, it was 130,000 transactions in those regions and in those market centers, right? It was $43 billion worth of sales. it was basically 3%. Those agents were involved in 3% of the U.S. home sales transactions. And when I was a little dude selling 6 homes 19 years ago in Washington, D.C., that was not the vision I had for what brokerage could be. And so that then opens up different things. It opens up, well, okay, we could have a mortgage company. Okay, we could have a title company. Oh, we could help someone expand. Oh, we could own technology. Let's do it real estate. So there's all these things that come with that. But my passion was really, I just wanted to fix up a house, right? And then that fixing up a house became, 3.5 million square feet of mixed use development and $400 million in investment. And so it became a very different thing over time. But doesn't happen overnight, and it's just a bunch of steps and a bunch of messes up, I think, as you were talking about it, Daniel.
Well, I mean, is it appropriate now, because we really haven't introduced ourselves at all?
Yourself.
Yeah. Well, you didn't really either, because Bo is being modest. I don't have my. If you Google Bo Menkiti and the Menkiti properties, he's being modest to really what he's accomplished. And all of the things that he does. But I think it's fair, can we just go down the line and introduce ourselves on what you do and not be modest? Because again, it was important for me to know for real what y'all really do. And you were saying a lot of things that Daniel's done as far as owning mortgage companies and all that. Can we do that? And then
hold on, I'm doing the stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
okay.
Yeah. That's what I said. No, but it's the he originated.
Well, we're gonna start with him.
But also, though, I want to let y'all know that for this podcast, we have an advisory board, and there's some really powerful, impactful people too. So after we go, can we maybe have them introduce themselves and who they are? Because you're not going to just be hearing from us. Like I said, you're amongst a lot of people. I had asked. We were doing some stats and things before y'all came in, and we determined that there was 336,000 Black millionaires in the country. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if people knew exactly how many they were sitting amongst right now? And so I would like those people to introduce themselves as well. But Bo, can you tell us who you really are without being modest about it?
So I'm Bo Menkiti. Sort of in the Keller Williams system, I'm the OP of 5 market centers, and part regional owner, and help with the regional operations in the West Virginia region, in the Maryland, DC region, and in the greater Heartland, which is Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Arkansas, and Nebraska. We've had the opportunity over that time to also start a mortgage company called Mission Mortgage, to acquire a property and casualty insurance company called Town & Country Insurance, to partner with a title company called Universal Title to expand their operations now into Florida and Texas and into Washington State. They're now one of the largest independently owned title companies in the country. And then we have an opportunity to work with some technologies that are coming up that are complementary, the sort of homeowner side of. We've been building Command and KW for agents. The other side of that, which is how do homeowners manage their house? How do you think about, products that you might be familiar with called Homekeeper, Milestones, and Zaya, which are 3 of the top companies. We're the top investors and sort of have been involved in that as it goes. So that's kind of been what we call our home services business. The other side, which started out fixing up a house, we've now had an opportunity to develop 3.6 million square feet of mixed-use development in the DMV and in Massachusetts, to invest about $400 million in the low to moderate income communities, and we've got about $2 billion worth of real estate development in the pipeline. We're working on projects like the last phase of the Yards at Nationals Park, where the Washington Nationals play, Howard University's new town center for their campus, St. Elizabeth's project, and then up in Boston, we're doing some work in the Seaport and in Worcester, Massachusetts. So our latest initiative, which I'm super excited of, all that aside, is we are launching something called the Obsidian Catalyst Fund, which is a private equity fund to support in closing the scaling gap of highly successful Black and Hispanic developers in the US. So we will be rolling out that this fall and supporting people's projects around the country. So if you know of any projects or any awesome developers in your community doing great work in urban areas, let us know.
Bo was also named the CEO of the Year by the Washington Business Journal for his work in development, and particularly for his work in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yeah.
So I just followed in the footsteps of all these people.
Bo was also president of. I
was the president of the association. I guess we should shout out the association.
All of those things.
Yes, enough. Emerick.
Yep. I'm Emerick Peace. I am the operating partner at Keller Williams Preferred Property, the largest single office Black owned real estate company anywhere that I know of, with over 600 agents. I'll say this unapologetically, I'm a black people missionary. And my job, my role, my ministry is to make sure that we find a way to advance ourselves in different ways, that we find a way to come together collectively as a group, and when that opportunity is presented to us, to make sure that you have a resource to make sure that you're in the best position to take advantage of that opportunity. And some of you have been witnesses to that. Some of you have been, I should say, victims of my conversations, but some of you have, and that's what I do. I've been a mega agent, I'm an investor, I'm a koi keeper. I'm one of the few, if y'all look at my page, I'm one of the few black koi keepers in the country. I keep koi fish, and it's an interesting thing.
Do y'all know what koi fish are? Oh, okay. Well, okay, excuse me. Hey, Emerick, we were somewhere dinner. He was buying this $1,000 fish. I'm like, what is going on? What is this? I didn't know what koi was. I didn't know y'all was.
I wasn't eating. There have been people that talk about eating my fish. They said that's an expensive meal. And for me, it's about community. I am a staunch supporter and advocate of the 100 Black Men of America. With the youth, what they see is what they'll be. And I'm just here as a resource. I'm here as a resource, and I'm excited.
Emerick's also a member of the Power Networking conference. You had tell us about the $1 Billion Blackout.
Okay, so I didn't want to go too deep, Julie. Okay,
the people
in
want to
Houston,
know.
okay, all right, okay, Julie, okay. See, we fight all the time. This is Daniel laugh at us. The $1 Billion Blackout. There's this idea that I had. It's called the $1 Billion Blackout. And what it's about, the real estate $1 Billion Blackout. In Black America, we always talk about millions of dollars of production, right? We don't talk about the billions of dollars of production that we're responsible for. And so in Houston this year, we had what's called a $1 Billion Blackout. And what it was about real estate professionals who are black talking about billions of dollars. You get that? We're having a $1 billion conversation. We assembled 20 presenters that were responsible for more than $25 billion in business. And the level of the conversation in that room, it was just dynamic, magnetic. It was crazy. And so just so all of you know, next year there's gonna be another $1 billion blackout in a different city, and you will have far enough advance notice that you probably should be on a plane, you probably should be in your car, you should be getting there somewhere, and Bo doesn't know it yet, but however, Bo's gonna be in that $1 billion group that we're talking about because it's real. It's real. We have to start.
You be in the group.
I just got to give him enough advance notice.
Evidently you say it, it's true.
Yeah, and we have to start having these conversations. We're talking about the podcast. We have to start talking about what's our real inspiration of people who we can sit and actually talk to and have a dialogue with Johnny Collins, who's not even in real estate. He's a settlement guy. Johnny's company settles like $5 or $6 billion a year, some crazy number. And it's like we're having these conversations. These are people who are accessible. They don't mind having a conversation. They don't mind telling you what they do, how to do it, how you can do it. And so the $1 Billion Blackout, that's what it's all about. It's a brand agnostic event. People from any company, any walk of life that want to learn and grow from a non-core disciplines of conversations around being more productive and showing, and I'm not going to say this because it's an overused term, black excellence. You know, excellence is excellence. We just happen to be black. You get it? And for my word is phenomenal. So black phenomenalness. And you know, how do we do this thing and how do we do it differently? How do we share? So that's what the $1 Billion Blackout is all about. And it stemmed from this room right here because we take it for granted. Look around this room. We take this for granted. This doesn't happen at other companies. This doesn't happen at other companies. And what we have grown here at our events at Family Reunion and Mega Camp, That's what spawned the idea of having a $1 billion blackout, because if we look in this room, it's billions of dollars of production in this room right now. So why don't we have that conversation? Why do we keep settling for less? We deserve more. As I said before, nobody has to give us a seat at the table. We have to take a seat at the table. And if you don't take a seat at the table, create our own table, right, Bo? That's it. All right. So, Madam Executive.
I'm gonna let Daniel go because y'all are a lot cooler than me.
Oh, yeah. The exotic brother.
Exotic brother. There we go. I'm Daniel. I started this real estate journey. I used to work at Zillow before I got into real estate, and so we're really heavy with internet lead generation and internet lead conversion and such. I've been a licensed agent for about 8 years, and after I learned how to start selling real estate, we quickly scaled $150 million business in about the last 4 to 5 years. I recently I got a mortgage license and started a mortgage company to work side by side with my real estate team. We're now licensed in 5 states. We have a mortgage or a title joint venture. I'm really passionate about creating ancillary income from all the hard work that we do as agents. Recently took the journey of becoming an OP and bought a market center, the first black-owned KW market center in the state of Colorado. Yeah, it's cool. Not all the agents in the office liked it, but hey, that's fun. What else do we do? We invest. I think we do so many additional things. I buy houses, we flip houses, we wholesale. I'm big now on buying notes and creating notes and creating just cash flow and passive income, so we don't have to work so hard on the day-to-day grind. And for my journey, I lucked out and was brainwashed early by Brett Tanner. So if you guys are not part of the KW Wealth community, lean in, listen to what he's talking about, listen to the things that have happened. A lot of what we have today in my organizations are because of that man and what he taught me on the early part of me understanding. I don't necessarily want to be an agent. I want to use that as an opportunity to go build businesses. And this idea of sharing information and why I'm so passionate about doing this is because had I not known all those things, I would have done a lot of stupid shit growing up. I cuss a little bit, so I apologize if I make anybody mad. I haven't cussed on the podcast.
No, you have. I've been totally surprised.
I got warned. So like sharing the knowledge to create like the vehicle that we all have with being able to go sell real estate. We already know how to do that. Check that box. Now, what are we doing with the money that we actually have? And if you're not understanding the why, or like my vision continued to get bigger and bigger once I understood a different game being played and a different conversation from people that other people are having that I was never even privy to. So this is a passion project of mine. I also have 2 501c3 charities. One's to support single parents of minority children. I grew up with a single mother of 3 kids, and we were always just robbing from Peter to pay Paul. And so the thought is, how can I help our community and allow our parents to be a little bit more present? Maybe it's only 1 month of housing expenses or whatnot, but if my mom had that lifeline, in our community, we don't often have the cousin or the brother or the uncle or the dad or the mom or whoever to go borrow money from to be able to get that lifeline. And so I wanted to provide a tool with the success that we've had to be able to have that lifeline. And then we also have a charity for black agents in real estate, a scholarship, a mentor type of thing to get more. We're not going to have more black millionaires in this industry if we don't get more black people licensed in this industry. So it's how do we get more, how do we share more information, knowledge, support, guidance, all the rest of those things. So this is a big thing. The interesting thing about me growing up is I grew up, my mom's white, my dad's black. I've met my dad like 5 times my entire life, but I was never white enough. I could never be a white boy. But then in the black community, I sometimes wasn't dark enough. I was exotic, right? Is that what you call it? So
that part right there.
Yeah. And I think that since this podcast has been launched, even my circle, my closest friends are like, D, I didn't even know you. I did not know you had that kind of knowledge. I did not even think about that. And so just if we can open minds and open possibilities and thoughts, then I think we can start creating more movement for our community and for our people. Thank you.
And I I am Julia Lachey. Am I mic on? Okay. I am Julia Lachey. And the sole reason I am here, I'm the head of inclusion and belonging here at KW. Thank you. Yeah. Some companies call it the head of diversity, equity, inclusion. And the sole reason I'm here is because Gary made that call to you at 11:30 at night, and he started a social equity task force. And somewhere along the lines, the many of you who were on that task force saw fit that I might be qualified to lead it for whatever reason you thought that. Yes, so I'm leading this social equity task force, and when I came to KW, I thought they don't even know what they actually need, you know. Gary hired me to teach 2 classes, and I'm thinking I can teach 2 classes, but that's not what you need. Yeah, what we need is something like this, and something different, and something like Bo and Emerick and Daniel are talking about. So that is my role. My role really is to create opportunities. That E was added to our Y4C2Ts, and my role is to create opportunities for Black people. And even Gary is very specific about it being Black people, realizing that we are the most marginalized people in this country. And so that really is the totality of the role. I have been with Keller Williams for 18 of my 23 years in real estate, and I have a team in Minneapolis. We do about $60 million in production between the 6 of us. And so we come at all of this from a real estate perspective, realizing that those numbers we talked about with the stats and the wealth gap that exists, people in the United States build their wealth through the acquisition of real property. And we literally are the conduits of the American dream. And so what we do is, to me, one of the most important things it's the most important industry that exists as far as wealth is concerned, or economics is concerned in the United States. Corinne Bowman, who is on the Social Equity Task Force and also one of the advisors, she held a social equity summit in the Carolinas, and Stedman Graham, Oprah's boyfriend, was the keynote. He was the guest. And we had asked him, I think you might have even said, what is the most important thing when it comes to social equity that we could do? And he said, I don't know if you remember what he said study capitalism. And studying capitalism. And so really the conversations we're having are about that. They're about independent ownership of businesses, independent ownership of properties, and the things that actually give us the leverage and the power to advance ourselves, as you all said. So that's my role in all of this. And I also think that Gary probably picked me to, I have 3 older brothers. So this isn't new to me exactly, like the stuff that I deal with you, Emerick. Daniel thinks we should have a whole podcast on me and Emerick fighting. Right? Like, I've been doing this my whole life. But what did they say? All my life I had to fight. Yeah. That's my role in this, is that I serve as the head of diversity, equity, inclusion, or inclusion and belonging, however you'll have it, and helping us advance through social equity, through capitalism, through real estate, through wealth building. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce the other people who are on this advisory committee who are helping us in these conversations. The great thing about it is you don't just hear us talking. There are a lot of very powerful, impactful people who participate or who even are in this organization. And even Corinne, you can come first because you're sitting right here. Even when Corinne was talking, she was talking about the number of millions, and I was like, I couldn't even believe what I was hearing. I'm like, did she say 10 million? Okay, but I'd like them to introduce themselves so that you all can get an idea of, like I said, the people that you're amongst, right, and the conversations that we'll have and being able to learn from each other and inspire each other.
So I'm Corinne Bowman, out of the Raleigh, Charlotte, North Carolina area. I'm the operating principal, the first African-American Black owner and operating principal in the Carolinas. Especially thanks to these folks here. I can go on about who I am, but really I love this platform because it is a space where we can encourage one another. We can create real impact and empowerment, not just within ourselves, but within our families and our communities. And we can share knowledge. This is mind share, and I think it's one of the biggest assets that we have, that when we come together as the collective, we're able to do something that's really powerful. And the cool thing about this room right here, we are changing the narrative. And in this space, for me, the biggest thing is to be able to learn and lean on others who's already done it before as well as I continue to grow, bring others along the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amina, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hello, I am Amina Blake Foreman, and again, we're definitely sitting on the shoulders of a lot of giants that have paved the way for us, and thank you, Papa E and everyone else in the company. So, my passion and one of the things that I'm excited that we're all gonna learn on this podcast is when we talk about the color of money, we also have to realize that there's a direct correlation with how we value our time, and that's something Brett Tanner taught us in KW Wealth, and knowing what our time is worth and making sure that as we continue to go on this journey of building wealth, we have to make sure that we're constantly increasing our hourly rate and how much we get paid. And we don't do that if we don't succeed through others. So having that conversation on leverage, not only leveraging time, leveraging our money, moving from being the borrower to being the lender, those are the conversations we need to start having more. And then how do we leverage relationships, right? Why aren't we dominating in the luxury markets? How do we earn the respect and the trust of high net worth individuals, and how we navigate those conversations? So those are some of the things I'm passionate about and we're gonna be talking about.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Quick plug.
That's right.
Quick, because I'm a user. Quick plug.
Okay.
Okay.
I am also the owner of one of the first Black-owned virtual assistant companies. And
Thank you very much.
And I see many of you in this room that use our services, and they hail from the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago, and that's why we're going to talk about leveraging our time.
John, you're all the way in the back, but would you mind running up here real fast? You look real fit. I think you can get up here quickly.
I can run.
Okay.
I'll get it. I just played pickleball a couple days ago. I'm good. All right, so.
You're introducing yourself.
All right.
Yeah.
Good evening. I don't even know if it's evening, morning. It's we're all running into them to each other. My name's John Clyde. I have the pleasure to be around these amazing individuals a lot, especially you too much lately. You know, this company really has changed my life. I mean, it's crazy. I do remember I got the call you got from Gary. Probably it's you guys first, because you guys are royalty in this company. And I got the call, and he asked three of us, we're going to go on this journey. Do you want to be part of it? And I think Bo said, Kimber, you and John will do this thing. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to just help you.
Leverage.
Yes, you're smart. But I will tell you what I've learned was you got to bring some people along on this journey with you. And I've been able to kind of do that now, and even in my role now being a division leader, I'm able to really now, and I'm looking at some of the folks that I'm able to give these opportunities to, and I want to really implore you to do things when people are not watching. Because I think too many times we start doing them now. You hear the opportunity, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go to ALC, I'm gonna go to Mega Camp, I'm gonna do all this stuff, and it might be too late, right?
John, what's a division leader? Because I don't think that.
I don't even know if we know what a division leader is. Division leader is, there's four of us, and we actually, we are supporting the regional directors.
You got an OP, you got regions, you got the president of the company, and then you got the regional directors. So what he's saying is there's four of them that run the rest of the whole part of the company.
And I got the pleasure,
John's being very
I don't know if
humble.
I got the pleasure or I got the curse to lead all of Gary's, the Keller Williams owned regions, which means high accountability, which I love. And the fact that we actually got to hit our goals when we say we're going to do, we give a goal, we need to hit it, right? So, but the main thing I wanted to share up here, but listening to you, to these great human beings up here, is that stop doing things, don't wait. I see too many people, because I'm like, I got this great opportunity, and they're like, oh, yeah, I didn't sell enough, or I got this great opportunity, but yeah, I don't really know. I'm not a leader. This is not my thing. So I want to be able to give opportunities, but I can't when you don't put yourself in positions. And I don't think you don't have to sell millions of dollars. You just got to plug in. Because I don't know about the leaders here, but I could tell you, when I was an OP, the first year or two, I was not good because I didn't plug in. I was just an OP that kind of was there, kind of listened, but I really didn't take it in. I didn't implement anything. And I think what you said, I didn't take action at all. But when I actually listened and I started to take action and I started to take notes and really, like, instead of just talking the talk, I walked the walk. Then I'm like, oh, there's another opportunity, and there's another one. There's a title company. Oh, and like you guys, now I own like 7 of my buildings that my offices are in. Now I own a bunch of title companies. But it started with just me just plugging in. And I would say the difference between my passive income stream 10 years ago and now is that it really sped up over the last 5 because I've been in the right rooms with the right people. And I think you're in the right room with the right people. Now what are you going to do about it? So, thank you.
I think John said something that I wanted to speak to. He spoke about opportunities. That's like my new word, because this whole role and this whole conversation started with the Social Equity Task Force, which really was about fighting racism. But it's expanded really to the opportunities. And like I mentioned, that's my favorite part of my job, is being able to connect people with opportunities. John mentioned being able to give a lot of opportunities. In the first year that we started all of this, the goal, you remember, the goal was to have 25% increase in leadership. And you ran the leadership committee, and we hit that goal, right? So we had a 25% increase in Black team leaders. Now there comes some challenges with that, because like you said, same as, we understand real estate, we understand white flight, right? Same thing happens in Market Center. So there's that, but. What do you mean? What do I mean?
We mean same thing happens in Market Center.
The same thing, you didn't just hear what Daniel said?
But that was coded. Tell them, what does that really mean?
Oh, you want me to actually say?
Yeah.
So they understand how this world works. So people were put into positions of leadership, and you're a team leader, and you're given an opportunity to be a team leader, but maybe the agents in your Market Center don't like that, so they leave. So what happens when your ALC leaves? Are you still a successful team leader? Okay, so we run into those kind of challenges. We also have a number of people who have become new investors in the last year or 2 years, right? And opened Market Centers in the last year or 2 years. You came in right on time.
I was just about to say,
I saw her.
Okay.
And she came in right on time. Atlanta, as Black as Atlanta is, did not have a Black-owned Keller Williams Market Center. Wow, is right. Like, but can y'all stand up? Hey, I see y'all. Can y'all stand up? Yeah.
Atlanta West.
Last month, y'all. Last month, Atlanta West launch. The Market Center, the Business Center in Chicago. Are any of y'all here? The Chicago. Okay, please stand. Chicago. I'm going to say your Market Center wrong. Well, she don't want to stand. She don't want to be called out. That's okay. But a number of different opportunities have become. Detroit, the first Black in Detroit. Right? Wasn't a Black Market Center, a Black-owned Market Center, right? In all the blackest places in America, we did not have Black market. It didn't make any sense.
But you know what? It did and it didn't. Because like John said, you have to be ready for the opportunity when the opportunity presents itself. Mm-hmm. And if you're not ready for the opportunity when it presents itself, it doesn't matter how Black the city is. Right. Somebody's got to step up.
And well, in the same breath, like there's a game being played that we weren't invited to.
Right.
And that's a real thing that it's not just inside this company, it's inside this world, the life, this industry that we're in. You gotta go fight for your shit. Go take it. Fight for it. Learn.
You know what?
Ask questions.
Really quick, I'm gonna go off script really quick.
I didn't know we had a script.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, when I first came in 19 years ago, and we talking about this. And
sorry, Bo was like, I had a script.
It's not on the script.
It's not on the script. It's on the piece of paper that Bo had. And I'm gonna say this, one of my inspirations in this company, and I've personally invited him here, was Mark Willis. Mark always made me feel a certain way about being here, and we had this certain kinship about us, and that made a huge difference in what I was able to help other people do.
Now wait a minute. Wait a minute, Emerick. Listen.
Thank you.
Listen, he said thank you, but listen, Mark has been back. How long have you been back now?
About a month.
And I know enough to know, don't give Mark the microphone right now.
Because
I have learned. I know.
Yeah. Here to learn.
Yeah. That'll be the end of the show. Yeah, but because he has a lot of powerful things to say, and obviously brings a lot of value. So thank you for coming. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
But I think this is a really interesting question, right? Because I always say that opportunity has to be qualified.
Yeah.
Right? And to me, that's a two-way street. One, you have to actually qualify the opportunities you pursue. Because it's great to own a market center. There's some market centers you own, you'd be stroking a check for $50,000 a month to make that market center work. There's other ones you'd be getting a check
He's telling the
for
true stories.
$100,000.
Facts.
So you better understand what it is. And we got a lot of people seeking titles,
Right.
not actually understanding the opportunity there. So
Yeah.
you better qualify the opportunities you pursue.
Yeah.
Second of all, you actually have to be qualified.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean like qualified as in like you got to jump through some hoops with somebody else's stuff. But do you have the resources? Are you willing to take the risk? Are you willing to actually put yourself in that position? Because we've had a lot of conversations around this company recently, right, with people that are saying they want the opportunity, but they actually don't understand the dynamics of the opportunity. They don't understand the risk involved with it. They don't understand the commitment. And so making sure that you've actually qualified up. If those things are in place, if you actually are sure it's an opportunity you want, and you're willing to put the effort and the energy into it and the resources into it, then all you need is someone to give you an opportunity. And that is where I think there's a huge opportunity in the company because you have people actively looking for that. And I think that's why, there's a reason why, you know, Emerick or I have such affinity for someone like Mark. It's because he represented opportunity.
Which I don't know that everybody knows who Mark Willis even is.
So am I supposed to introduce you?
I'm scared, but can you introduce yourself? Yeah.
Okay, Mark.
I'm scared. We only got 5 minutes.
Read the digest. Read the digest.
I joined Keller Williams in 1990 and I started out as a team leader. We built the Southwest Market Center. I became a regional director. The president of the company was the CEO of the company for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then I had a little hiatus and I'm back. And I am really pleased to be in this room. I will tell you that during that hiatus, I built a consumer products company because I couldn't be in the real estate industry. And my partner is black. And I've never seen color my whole life. I always thought of everyone as the same. And then I got a black partner. And I learned more than you all can imagine. It kind of touches me in a very special way. So I'm just delighted to be back. I thank you for including me, Emerick. I respect everyone in this room at the highest level. And we love that you're a part of Keller Williams. Thank you.
That was good,
So
Mark.
nice and short. Gotta give Emerick some tips.
I think there's also, you gotta be willing to ask for help. And that's something I'm not really good at. And stepping into this role, like John said, we spent a lot of time here recently together with help and asking for guidance and again, leaning into your community. Just because you do one thing well doesn't mean you're gonna do the next thing well, and there's other people who do it better. But with the qualifications for these opportunities, like if you guys think that you wanna be a team leader, you think you wanna be an MCA, or you think you wanna be an OP or whatever, use your time now to go shadow. Learn, see, feel what the thing is that you think that you want, because by the time you get it, it may not be what you thought it was. So do your research, ask for help, ask for guidance, ask to shadow.
I don't know if you all remember this, but on one of the social equity task force calls, Gary got on, and people were saying, well, how come there's not more black OPs? And how's the, and realized, and he said, why does everybody want to be an OP, right? The best role in this organization is a mega agent. And we had some conversations about, for some people, it's exactly what you're saying. Research what it is that you actually think that you want, because you might actually already be on the trajectory to be the best whatever it is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a title.
I was talking earlier about economic development is a social justice issue of our time. Mm-hmm. And the great economists like Peter Drucker, he said that the ultimate resource in economic development is people. It's people, not capital or raw materials, that develop an economy. And I think that in my mind, the color of money is really about people. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I would challenge all of us to think about, whether we're part of an organization, we're part of a group, we're thinking about this community, right? Is that ultimately, I think one of the most challenging narratives that all of you in this room have been massively successful in what you've done. And it is very easy when you're successful. We idolize the individual entrepreneur. We put mega agents on stage. And it's very easy to tell a story that says, I rose from the ashes, no mama, no daddy, barefoot, both ways uphill to school, whatever the story is that we tell. And the world's gonna tell that story for you. They're gonna tell you that you're exceptional. They're gonna tell you that you're the exception, not the rule. And that idea is seductive, because that idea makes you special. But that idea at its heart is what holds us back, because you didn't do it all by yourself. You had a grandma, you had a community, you had a thing. We had a community here. I had people like Emerick, I had people like Mark, I had people like Joey, who brought us together and who did things. And so if we can start to tell a collective story, we can start to tell a collective narrative, you would be so surprised how many people there are out here who have been massively successful. You heard it from John, you should hear it from me, you should hear it from Emerick. They are desperately wanting to have that legacy be passed on. They want other people to succeed on their shoulders, so you don't have to do it yourself. Nobody does it yourself anyways. Nothing great was done on your own. So be willing to be part of a community, be willing to reach out. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And together we can get a whole lot further.
And piggybacking on that, I say this all the time, relationships will take you places money can't. And the truth is, none of us, we ever have financial issues. We don't have employment issues. We have no issues except relationship issues. Because when you have the right people in your life, the right people will attract the right people to get you in the right direction to go right where you want to be in your life. And so this is about relationships. This whole idea of what we're doing, particularly with the Color of Money podcast, is about relationships, growing, learning. How do we develop together? How do we grow together? And just being open and avail yourself to make sure that you don't let your ego and your pride get in your way of what your true destiny is. And that destiny ultimately lies, as Bo said, in your relation with other people, and that's in your relationships. So just deep and meaningful relationships, and make sure you protect them. And be careful of the toes you step on today, because they might be connected to the ass you have to kiss tomorrow.
And you know, I think Emerick said a number of things about together and the power of community and the power of this community. We wanted to make sure that you knew who some of the people in the room were as well, so that you understood who you can go to for the help that you're saying that you should ask for and all of these things. There are 12 affinity groups now within Keller Williams, okay? I've been to them all at all the events that we had. By far, we have more people. We have more people who are doing more powerful things. A lot of times, and people matter. You know, JC's got that song that says, "We don't believe you, you need more people." We have enough people, is the thing. And it's the power of community, the power of connection. Sometimes other groups will make noise and get what they want and say that they're the largest group. It's not true. We are the largest affinity group that exists in Keller Williams right now. We have the most people collectively as a community, and together, that power means something. The power of community means something. There is power in numbers, and we need to use those numbers. Just like a lot of other groups do. They'll say, oh, well, the such and such group, they've got, 1,200 people. When they ask, we're gonna do whatever they say. When did this Black real estate network run? We all know the other one that exists that has a lot of people in it from all different brokerages, but the Keller Williams Black Real Estate Network is not even a year old?
No.
2,800 agents,
well,
right?
no,
What?
Before we did that,
I'm talking about that Facebook group open.
Before we did that,
45.
within our group, we had 4,900 people.
Right.
And within
already,
the group alone.
right.
Yes.
So the numbers, we have, I don't know that we even recognize the power that we have collectively as a unit. And so being able to mobilize that and utilize that and lean on the powerful people, I am beyond blessed. If I don't even, I'm not gonna say it for myself. I'm gonna say, if I don't even get paid this year, I don't care. Because of the relationships and the information and the knowledge, there is no dollar amount that you put on the value of those relationships and the information and the proximity to the people that, like I said, 336,000 Black millionaires, and hundreds of them are right here, right? The proximity to people who have that information is powerful. So making sure that we actually tap into that, get prepared, learn from each other, learn the opportunities, but be prepared for the opportunities. And so that's what we're doing with this podcast, is just trying to share as much of that as we can with as many people as we can. So that's my last thing, is just to tap in, listen to it, listen to the, put the QR code, just find the people. This is our community, and really tap into the resources that we have. everything, we used to say in our church, everything we need is in the house.
Well,
Right.
okay. So while we trying, we're not trying, we're gonna do it.
Did I say try?
You said try a couple times.
I said it twice?
Yeah, you did.
I haven't been to Bold in a few years, so I
Okay.
forget. But we are going to. But you understand the purpose of what I said. I'm sorry, Jerry looked at me real funny.
There is no try.
But anyways, Daniel, final thoughts.
I'm just about that action. Like, y'all got to do work. We need y'all to do work. We need y'all to plug in, learn, grow, make mistakes, fail. Don't get ready to get ready. Jump in and figure the shit out. That's all I got.
There you go.